That's 020 33 64 7000. Now, I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by a guest, Paul Hardcastle. Paul Hardcastle, you might remember, he was the first artist to record digitally and use sampling in popular music. His single 19 has sold over 3 million copies worldwide. Do you remember it? You'll remember it. Can't believe it's 25 years old though. Simon Fuller, who was Hardcastle's manager at the time of 19's release, later adopted the title for his company, of course, 19 Management. He has, for the last 15 years, had a very successful career in America. Last year was voted #1 smooth jazz artist by Billboard. Paul's running a social media campaign which he's received worldwide support for the 25th anniversary project. I'm about to play you his song, but just so as you know, on the 19th of April, Paul will release a new version of the 80s classic 19. The original highlighted the plight of soldiers who fought in the Vietnam War. Now, 25 years on, Paul has been compelled to write another chapter, and here it is.
British troops are now engaged in the fiercest combat since Korea.
History keeps repeating itself.
The average age is 19. My God, I'm taking boys to war.
This is the story of men who are victims of war. They fought the longest war in American history. They all saw heavy combat in Vietnam.
I'm taking boys to war.
19.
The average age is 19.
Does this all sound too familiar? 19.
A voice in my head is saying, welcome to hell. Will I get to survive? I've got no way to tell. I'm in a situation where one of us dies. I get a stone cold stare from my enemy's eyes. 19. A voice in my head is saying, kill or be killed. But my mind is numb and my blood is chilled. There's bodies all around, they lie on the ground, and all I hear is silence, and it's a deafening sound.
19. I wasn't really sure what was going on. 19.
The average age is 19. My God, I'm taking boys to war.
Does this all sound too familiar?
A voice in my head is saying, this ain't a game. If I survive this hell, I will never be the same. Should I be here? I can't say for sure if I don't understand what I'm fighting for.
19.
I wasn't really sure what was going on.
19.
The average age is 19.
19.
19.
The average age was 19.
History keeps repeating itself.
What a treat to be able to play some good music on Suntalk.
Thank you very much.
We're not known for our music playing. I'm joined by Paul Hardcastle, the man behind that song. Now, 25 years ago, was when it originally came out. 19 has sold 3 million copies worldwide.
It's nearer 4 now.
Really?
Yeah. It was 3.5 at the time, and obviously, you know, it's with compilation albums and downloads and stuff, it's around 4 million now.
Yeah, Paul's on the webcam if you fancy clicking on and seeing him. Hello, yeah, you're there, I'm there.
Okay.
Now, I was asking you there when it was playing, you were explaining what 19 means. Tell us again.
It's the average age of the combat soldier that was killed in Vietnam. Well, it was taken out to Vietnam. But if you listen on the new record, I was watching a TV documentary about the Afghanistan conflict, and this guy said, I looked at my men, the average age was 19. My God, I'm taking boys to war. And that was one of the things that made me think, wow, this has not changed at all.
Yeah.
So for me, the parallels between Vietnam and Afghanistan are becoming quite sinister, I think.
Yeah, and also you were inspired to do this because your son's friend was killed.
He was, yeah, a young guy called George Sparks. He died about 14 months ago in Afghanistan. He was 19, Georgie Sparks. And also, what I did before I made this record, I got in contact with a couple of the families, so George's family, and also a young man called Richard Hunt, who was the 200th soldier to die in Afghanistan. And his mum actually made a TV documentary about the problems out there and the fact that the equipment wasn't working and things in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So she went round to the Ministry of Defence, all these places, and I thought, wow, she's worth talking to. And I said, would you mind if I put Richard's photo in the video? And she said, I'd love you to, because we feel that our kids have basically been forgotten, and the same with George's parents. So this has now gone from being just a record for me to sort of like, I promised them that I would keep their kid's name alive, and that's really what I'm trying to do.
Sure. Who's this released with? Is it on a label?
It's basically my own label. We're going through a big, large download company called The Orchard. So it's available everywhere worldwide from every download outlet. You know, iTunes, Amazon, all of them, Play.
Yeah, I mean, really hard for you just now because you have released this at the time of the election campaign.
It could have not been worse, to be honest with you, but you know, that's part of life. I mean, I personally find it a bit insulting that, you know, just because it's an election campaign, we're actually trying to forget that there's this thing going on. And speaking...
People get scared, don't they? So, for example, news outlets, TV stations, TV shows will say, "Oh, there's election coming up. We can't be too controversial about the war." No,
totally. But my thing of that is that I really don't care who wins this election. I'm not political on that side at all. If you remember, every party agreed to this war, so it's not like I'm talking about one or the other. I really don't give a hoot. Thank you for that one.
I'm glad I jumped in there.
Who actually, you know, who does it? I'm not interested, but what I am interested in is the fact that basically I think that whilst young kids are actually being sent out to a place like that, it's an insult to basically just say, oh, well, there's an election on now, we cannot mention them. I think it's poor.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't want to go on about it, but there's a few other things like, you know, why should a soldier have to pay for his own insurance?
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's just some silly things in there that I find, and I just hope whoever wins the election might sort of maybe look and say, do you know what, that's right, because Obama tried to do it. He tried to sort of make them pay for their own insurance, and he nearly got ousted.
Yeah, so, but as you say, it's not political. You're not aligning yourself to any party or even against a party. But as much as it's a bad time media-wise to get media coverage, people are a little bit more sensitive about having you on shows. You could argue it's a very good time as long as you get the message out there for buyers.
Yep.
Because I think nobody knows who to vote for.
No.
And they're fed up and they hear the war stories coming through that soldiers have to pay for their own kit. They're
correct.
disgusted. So maybe there's never been a better time in a way.
I hope so. I mean, as I said to you before, I mean, this is much more than a record for me. I mean, I don't know if you know, but my career in America is like phenomenal. I mean, I've sold 4 million albums out there. I've had 9 number ones.
And you are the American Smooth Jazz Awards has just nominated you for Best International Smooth Jazz Artist of the Year again.
That's
You're
right.
also
A
nominated.
year later, and Best Group. I've got a group called the Jazz Masters. So I'm not here to blow my own trumpet.
Oh, you
I'm here
should.
I'm here to sort of talk about the 19th thing.
Also, people are interested in what you've been doing. You know, it was 25
fair
years ago since this was released. So for the last 15, you've carved out a really successful career in America. Totally different jazz to this song.
Yep.
How's it coming back to something that sounds so different?
I don't know, it's fun. I mean, I really sort of like the fact that I'm sort of coming round and doing something that's more like pop orientated. I mean, in my career in America, you basically you just put the album out and people just buy it. You don't have to promote it. Once you get a core following, as I said, you know, 9 number ones, one off of each album, makes it like people then go, well, I'm just going to get the next one, so it's easy. This is more of a battle again, and especially now with this record in the middle of an election, you know, it's quite. But I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it, and you know, when I have some young kids' mums say thank you, Paul, for basically keeping George's memory alive and Richard's memory, that means more than any praise or Ivor Novello award, or forget that. You can't buy that. And it sends a bit of a shiver down my spine when I get them sort of letters coming through saying, keep it going, Paul. You know, we're all behind you on that. It's almost like not having a record. It's almost like you're doing it for a different reason.
Yeah, and I guess you don't have to be doing this now. You've had,
Not at all.
if you've sold 4 million singles... Albums. Wow, albums. Well, you're definitely, able to pay the rent. And where do you live?
I live out near Ongar in Essex.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I do have quite a decent life. I can't, it's like that. But this is something, I mean, if people want to know why I've done this, if they go paulhardcastle.com, I've actually wrote on there, and I did say, look, I don't have to do this, but it's something that I feel that I should do, and I really do now. It's, as I say, it's become something different from just a record. It's actually a cause, and I just think that if it was me, my son's 19 as well, and he's got a great career. He's actually playing on some of my albums in America. And then I look at, say, like George's family, and there's a big, big, big difference. Their son's gone. My one's just about to start his life. And I just think, if I don't say something, then in a year's time I'll go, you chicken, you should have. Yeah. So whatever people say, that's, I
Good for
don't
you.
mind.
And
Thank
your
you.
son's friend being killed in Afghanistan, it's almost like a sign for you, isn't it? He was 19.
This 19 thing does really come up a hell of a lot, It's amazing. And the fact that, as I say, on the record that you hear now, the British guy out the army says, I looked at my men, the average age was 19. When I heard that, I went, Jesus, what's going on here? I heard that 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And for me, nothing's changed. Nothing's really changed. I thought 25 years ago, it's a war. It had finished 10 years ago. It was all the way out there. And now it's all about us. And what is, the one thing I do find a bit strange is that, the first 19 was about American soldiers, and it was the most played record for 3 months in England, and yet this is about British soldiers now, and people are a bit scared to talk about it. It's like almost, it's taboo. Because
I think it's just about getting them to know about it, which is why you're on Sun Talk. And, we'll keep plugging it. I'll mention it in my column.
Thank you very much.
Definitely. But I think also what a lot of people don't know is, people know Simon Fuller is a massive name in the music industry. They know his company is called 19 Management. That was because of your song being such a success 25 years ago. But what people don't know is that 19 means the average age of
the combat soldier.
They don't really associate that with Simon Fuller, and that's...
No, they associate Simon with the Spice Girls and things.
Yeah.
Simon's great. I mean,
He's still in touch.
Yeah, he's my best man. He's my daughter's godfather. I mean, I did the Spice Girls movie music for him and S Club 7 stuff, so people don't know a lot about that. I tend to keep myself a little bit sort of out of the limelight most of the time.
Do you like it that way? I
do, very much so, yeah. I had 2.5 years of craziness in the 80s, and I found it after the first 6 months. I thought, well, how can I turn this off now, Going out for a dinner and people's shoving their arms in your curry, So that's why I did the American thing. But this has brought me back, and for this cause, and I don't care, it's like just so worthy of what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in. It was a real pleasure to play that.
Thank you.
And I really hope it gets out there, because it's a brilliant song.
Thank you very much.
That was Paul Hardcastle. I'll be back with you after the break. Going to be ending on business news. Still time for a cheeky wee call if you want to phone in about today's hot topics, like the nurse who's not allowed to wear a cross anymore. 020 33. Paul Hardcastle shaking his head. Do you think that's wrong?
Amazing. Of course it's wrong.
Of course it is. 020 33 64 7000. Email gonti@suntalk.co.uk.